Hey there, everybody. My name is Danny Kay, and this is Off the Chain, where we talk all things blockchain. Today, I'm actually going to be talking about CMCT, aka Crowd Machine, and the hack that happened just a couple of days ago, where their main company wallet was compromised and tokens stolen from them. They haven't given an official amount of how many tokens were stolen, but then were immediately dumped on all the exchanges, HitBTC, IDEX, Bittrex, etc., causing the price to drop over 75%, and basically creating a lot of mayhem for token holders and investors in that space. Basically, on September 23rd, Crowd Machine wrote a post that says, "Dear community, we are currently responding to an incident where access to our crypto wallet was compromised and there was a theft of the Crowd Machine compute tokens. You can be assured that our team and the Crowd Machine project are still going strong, and we are resourcing for Crowd Machine has not changed. We are working to resolve this issue as fast as we can. Our CTO and his development team continue focusing on driving our Crowd Machine platform, the Crowd Computer Network, and our learning tools such as Crowdbase and Crowd Academy. The CEO and executive team are continuing providing information to the criminal investigation team and managing community feedback." So at this time, they said that because this matter is actually currently under criminal investigation, they are unable to make any further comments about what is going on, but will post further updates as soon as they are allowed. And since that came out, we actually did get a secondary update from the Crowd Machine team that says, "As you may be aware, we are currently responding to an incident where our crypto wallet was compromised and there was a theft of the Crowd Machine tokens. The following update has been authorized for release by law enforcement agencies with whom we are working. As soon as we became aware of the theft, we notified the relevant law enforcement agencies, who in turn immediately commenced investigations. Since then, our team has been working tirelessly to support the relevant law enforcement agencies with information. These agencies have instructed us not to disclose their identities or any additional information regarding their activities as to not jeopardize ongoing investigations. However, they can confirm as a direct result, most exchanges have now suspended trading of CMCTs, an arrest has been made, and we are working to recover the stolen property. It is highly recommended that no one purchases CMCT tokens until the criminal investigations have ceased, at which time we expect closed exchanges to reopen. Purchase of stolen tokens by those not involved with the theft will be honored, and we will let the community know with temporary trading suspensions are lifted." Now, I think this is a very interesting point to note that they said that any tokens that were purchased during the theft will actually be honored. So if you, let's say you had a buy order placed for 100, or CMC tokens at 100 Satoshis, and the dump happened and your order got filled, that they will honor that fulfillment and they will honor that order. So in a sense, I think that is good news. However, not all exchanges have actually ceased the trading of this currency. In fact, I think HitBTC is the only exchange that still is open for trading, withdrawals, and deposits, which I believe is going to cause a little bit of an issue trying to mitigate and track down what buy and sell orders were legitimate versus what were involved with the hack. And I think a lot of stuff can actually happen as this unravels, and it could go a lot of different ways. We've seen similar hacks like this before with NEM or with the DAO, which is now Ethereum Classic. But in this instance, basically the way I see it playing out is a number of different ways. And a lot of it really depends on whether or not they recovered the stolen assets and how much of those stolen assets do they recover. So I guess one scenario is that they make an arrest, they move forward, the assets are not recovered, or at least the amount of money is not recovered that they need to sustain their company. And so at that point, they will go back to a later block date before the hack happened and create a hard fork, issuing all new tokens to people that had tokens at that specific time. What this will ultimately do is create a whole new chain and restore everyone to the same kind of position that the token was at before the theft occurred. So it's kind of like a snapshot in time, like a restore your hard drive kind of thing, which I think is a pretty, it's a pretty difficult situation. It's not as easy as saying, okay, we're going to go ahead and abandon this blockchain and create a new one. Because then you have a lot of traders and investors say, well, what happens to us when we bought all of these tokens after the fact and then we traded them and sold them? So I think what might happen in that scenario is that, and this was similar to the DAO hack that happened, I think, in 2016, where a DAO wallet was compromised, a large portion of tokens were stolen. So they froze that blockchain, hard forked it, and basically recreated what we now know as Ethereum Classic. And they allowed the old chain to basically, I believe, die off. The original DAO chain died off. So there is a chance that could happen. Now, they are saying that that's not something that they want to do, but it is something that we have seen happen in the past with other companies and other cryptocurrencies. The next option is that they do recover the assets. They try to mitigate their losses and restore security on their wallets and reopen trading on all the other major exchanges, at which time you can speculate the price is either going to go up or down, or maybe even sideways. Who knows? But needless to say, there is quite a bit of concern around this company now and their ability to be competent. When you have your main wallet basically be compromised due to your lack of security, yet you're running a cryptocurrency company that everyone needs to know and be very well aware of security, safety, how to protect your assets. And here we have a major company that isn't doing that and now putting their investors at risk. I think that this is going to be a very hard comeback for them to do at the end of the day. If they were to recover all their assets, there's just there's going to be a lot of investor sentiment that's going to be lost, and they're just going to be very upset and unsure of the competence of CMCT. Now, the other option is that CMCT does not recover their assets, or at least recovers only a small portion of assets, at which point I wouldn't be surprised to see them shut the project down, or at least do a hard fork and restore it to its prior situation before the hack. This is simply because if you were running a company and all of your funds got stolen and you didn't get them back, well, how are you going to continue running that company? How are you going to be able to fund future projects and keep things moving forward? Granted, I'm sure that this isn't all of their assets, this single hack, but it is a large portion. And if you're an early investor, or if you own a company and your stake in a company is that token, and that token's been taken away from you, what's your incentive to work and keep that company going forward if you don't have that early investor advantage? So I think that's just something you need to keep in mind. They do say, please don't do any trading at this time, but like I said, HitBTC is still open for trading. You can do deposits and withdrawals of your CMC tokens off and on exchanges. And so that is something to keep in mind. There was actually a post on Reddit that I saw going through the research that someone actually turned half an Ethereum into over 900 Ethereum, basically doing a 1800x gain, because they just so happen to have a purchase order of 50 million CMCTs for half an Ethereum, basically 0.000001 Ethereum per CMCT, and that order got filled on IDEX basically right as the hack was happening, basically got the very bottom of what was available. And so if that guy or gal held onto those onto those tokens and then sold it off on HitBTC, that's 900 Ethereum. That's a fair, nice amount of money. But at this point, it is a little concerning with what's going on with Crowd Machine and how they're going to move forward with this. Obviously, there's not a lot known. They can't really give a lot out because of the ongoing criminal investigation. Another interesting thing to keep point of, one of the reasons I actually found out about this currency was Charlie Sherm was one of the early investors into this company during the pre-ICO. And if you don't know who he is, he started the company BitInstant and was one of the first buy and sell for cash and wire transfer kind of companies for Bitcoin back in the early days of 2012, 2013. He actually ended up going to prison because he knowingly dealt with individuals that were buying and selling Bitcoins used for drug sales back in the day of Silk Road. But he actually had a post back in March saying that, his largest investment yet is of Crown Machine, that he has a lot of faith in it. He really loves the project. And so it's kind of interesting. He hasn't made any comment on this at the moment specifically. However, he did post an article from Crypto IQ about is it too late to self-regulate? Basically saying that, there was the CMCT hack that happened. No, active investors were harmed. That only tokens that were from the uncirculating tokens were stolen. So no actual token holders lost tokens, but that this is something that's happened one too many times, and that we have been given a lot of time to self-regulate and figure out a way to securely make this space safe for investors, and time again it has proven to not happen. And basically this article goes on to say that regulatory agencies have been on the sidelines for long enough. The crypto industry has been given plenty of time to regulate itself, and so far it has failed to do that effectively. So basically calling for a change in the way that the crypto industry regulates themselves, and that they do it quickly, because quite frankly, if things like this continue to happen, then we're going to have issues with, like the Bitcoin ETFs coming through, further regulations with the SEC, or further adoption with, Wall Street and stuff like that, because, major investors aren't going to want to get into a space that something like this can happen so easily. So, basically calling to say, hey, listen, crypto space, regulate yourself. Figure out how you can fix these gaps in security and safety to make sure that all investors and companies are safe, and there aren't these wild and dramatic things that happen that cause the price of an asset to go crazy insane, or get dumped or stolen or whatever. But he did go on to say that, however, despite the fact that the long-term prospects for Crowd Machine probably haven't changed significantly. In this case, the hack is probably just a temporary setback, which I tend to agree with, in the sense of, they have made an arrest. They are going to try and do some asset recovery, but at the same time, you never know. You never know what happens, so keep that in mind and keep it with a grain of salt, saying in terms of any purchasing or selling that you're going to be doing. Me personally, I own a very small position of CMCT, nothing major. And I think at this point, I'm just going to hold the asset and see what happens. I was planning to hold it for 2 years anyways, so we're going to see what happens at that point. But at the end of the day, yeah, this hack happened. There are, still a lot of questions that need to be answered. And I think a lot of people are just kind of sitting around waiting to see, okay, what's going to be the next statement? What more information is going to be said about the arrest that was made, who was responsible for it, what country of origin did it come from, and how much of the assets were recovered. And I think that is the big deciding factor, is that if a substantial amount of the stolen assets are recovered, be it in the form of Bitcoin or Ethereum, because obviously the CMCT tokens were actually sold off, then depending on how much of those assets are recovered is going to really make the difference in terms of what Crowd Machine decides to do, whether it's a hard fork or a continuation of the current blockchain. But as this story develops, I'll update it and let you guys know what's going on. Thanks for tuning in. If you like, please hit that subscribe button, that like button, share it if you want. And thanks for listening. Thanks. Bye.